Hey y'all, it's Kenya, and I'm just driving down the road. You know what? I just love it out here. I am so happy and pleased with country life. I really am. It's amazing, and the longer I'm out here, the more I love it. I just can't tell y'all. Oh, it's so beautiful to see the trees as you drive down the road. It is raining. Not pouring too bad, but it is raining out here today. But it is so beautiful. I mean, the sky is gray. It's dreary, it's raining, but the trees, the grass, the weeds, the wildflowers, it is just beautiful. I think I'm enamored because I grew up in Chicago. So it was, concrete everywhere. People had trees in their yards, but just concrete buildings, concrete ground, concrete. So all this grass and trees is beautiful and amazing to me. And I fell in love with Houston when we first moved down here because of the trees and because of the weather. I came from Chicago, all that inclement cold, freezing cold. And I just remember as a teenager standing on those bus stops waiting to, go to the mall with my girlfriends or something, and it's 17 below zero and it's snowing, and I just hated it. Toes cold, nose cold, just cold. So when I moved down here and was able to experience a mild winter, which is so funny to me because even 20, 30 years later, it's like nothing to me still when it's cold here. I mean, I still hate the cold, but it's not Chicago cold. So, just driving through, headed to Walmart, and where else am I going today? Banana. To buy some pants, and I don't really know where to go. I'm kind of at a impasse. I think near Walmart there is a Cato. Yeah, that's what it is. I was trying to think of the name for what I know it's like a women's store. And the last time I went there, I bought some nice blouses. And I think all the time when I make my videos, I make t-shirts, but I am a blouse person. I like dress casual, like not dressy, but or not like suit, wearing, but I like to wear a blouse and slacks or something like that, or skirt and a top. Not really t-shirt and jeans. I can be. I have been. But not really. So I just wanted to tell you guys about this new adventure in my life that I'm about to embark on, and it's nothing but God. It's nothing but God. It's not anything that I would do on my own. So I know that it is a move of God because it's not something new had my children, I was married. Okay, I was married very young. I was 17. He was 21. It was the worst mistake I had made in my life. And everyone told me. And I was abstinent. I was disobedient. And even though I knew it in my spirit, I didn't understand that at that time. I knew it in my spirit. I still did it anyway. Satan is a liar, you know? So anyway, we were married, we separated, we get back together, we separate, we get back together, we separate. It was just a constant. I think we married 2 days after my 17th birthday. Yeah, that's how young I was. 2 days after my 17th birthday, we got married. And we separated probably 6 times in that first year of marriage, because he was physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually abusive. Just no other way to say it. He's just abusive. And but I did not understand that this is not something you could fix. I could not fix. And I also did not understand, like what was happening to me, because I did not grow up in an abusive family. I did not grow up around men who were overly emotional like that. Like, I just did not understand what was happening. I did not know. And I was a child. I was a little kid. If you think about it, I was 16, 17 years old. And I know 16, 17-year-olds think they're grown. You're not grown. I have a granddaughter right now. She's 19, and I tell her all the time, I know you don't like what your parents say all the time. And I know you feel like you know better, but you don't. Just dig it out. Just stay up under their covering as long as possible. Just stay there. Just to let them love you and guide you, because you do not know what you're doing. And I really understand all these people with all this independence and, shut up. Life is very, very hard. And until you really have to get out there in it, don't. Stay under your parents' cover. In every other culture, they do it, but the American culture. Every other culture, young people stay under their parents' covering until they're married most times. But anyway, I digress. I'm trying to get to a point. So, I had the twins, because I have a twin, a girl and a boy. And then I got pregnant again, and I had my youngest child 11 months later. And 3 months after he was born, we separated and never got back together. So after that youngest child was born, 3 months after he was born, we separated, and we never were back together. And I don't even know why I'm telling you this story to tell you about raising my children. So I raised them by myself. He was of the mindset if he couldn't control me and the things that I do, he wasn't going to pay child support. And I was of the mindset that you're so out of here and out of the way normal people should behave as a parent, as a husband, as a father. I'm not going to allow you to be over my children. Now, some people will say, well, you were wrong. I might have been. I don't know. My kids did eventually grow up, and they kind of resented me for it. But as they grew older and became adults themselves, and they saw what I was keeping them from, truth was revealed to them, then they were like, you were right. But as they were kids, I think that they, held resentment, and that's why it was so hard to raise them at a certain point in their life. Like when they became teenagers and things, it was very, very hard. And so I'm saying all this to say that you won't believe what my new journey is going to be, because I struggled so hard raising my kids. Not like they were terrible kids. They were awesome little children. They were magnificent. Everywhere I went, people were like, I can't believe your kids behave so well. Your children are such darlings. You know, they were well-mannered, well-behaved young people, young children, even to preteen age. But when they became teenagers, oh my goodness, you know, I had a time. And I'm so grateful to God that we made it through. And I know it was Him that brought us all through. Everyone graduated high school, thank you, Lord. But we did not escape that time in our lives without a bunch of turmoil and a bunch of trauma and drama. I'll just say that we had it all. But yeah. As for me, I was set on no more kids, no more, none of that, you know, like, I didn't want to talk to kids, be around kids, play with kids. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I did not hate my children. I just was like, I really believe that I was in what you call survival mode. Like, I was just in survival mode, and I was just trying to make it through. And we did survive by the grace of God, and I was not living for Jesus, so it was hard. I suffered through alcoholism. I was addicted to cigarettes. I was mean. All the things, you know, but God. That's why when I start talking about Jesus, I tear up, because He is so, so good. And He will radically change your life if you allow Him in. So, because He did it for me. He did it for me. I am not the same. And my life has never been the same. And He's healed so many wounds. And several months ago, at prayer at church, because I'm an intercessor, I was praying, and all of a sudden the children in the area of my church, which is like 3-4 towns from where I live. I don't go to church near my home. We kind of drive about 45 minutes to an hour away from home to go to church. But it's a beautiful church, wonderful people. And I have to say, it is a lot of educators. There are a lot of teachers and people in school administration. I don't know, but I felt strongly led to pray for the children. I'm just seeing all these posts of teachers quitting, giving up. Now, don't get me wrong, my grandchildren were not raised in the public school system. My daughter, when my oldest grandbaby was 8 years old, her and her husband made the decision to homeschool. I thought they had lost their minds, but I saw what homeschooling did for my granddaughter. And when they had the next baby, Victory, she's never gone to school. Never. And I see how wise she is, how smart she is, how quickly she picks up on concepts and things. I mean, she plays the violin. She, you know, just draws and paints and crochets and all of the things. I mean, my older granddaughter, of course, she plays the guitar, she sings, you know, like, they have skills and the presence of mind and can go anywhere and sit with anyone and hold conversation, and they can pray and they can talk. Like, they're not you know what you see a lot of young people today, like, no motivation, no ability to communicate. I am at Walmart, y'all, and I cannot find a parking space. Like, they can articulate concepts. They can talk about politics, world events, past events. Like, they can talk about history honestly and truthfully. They're not bitter or embittered. They're not they're just highly intelligent young kids. I just have to say it like that. Like, when you sit down and hold a conversation with a lot of adults are like, they're so mature. And I'm thinking, yeah, because their mom and their dad pour into them daily. Not just schoolwork, but the wisdom of the Lord, you know, and that's important. Oh, back to what I was trying to say. So anyway, I prayed this prayer and I was like, wow. You know, when I got through praying, you know, I kind of was stunned. You know, it was very powerful. It was nothing but the Holy Spirit. It was not me at all. So I didn't know what that was. Maybe a week or two later, my husband comes home from work and he was like, oh, I got a message from the school district where, like I said, my church is, and he was like, I'm gonna go and they're gonna have a job fair, and I'm gonna go and fill out an application because they're hiring in their maintenance department, and probably be a good little job. I said, oh, okay. So the day that the job fair was, I had on, I think, this little outfit, a little casual jogging pants, t-shirt, and I got in the car with him. But my son was living with us at the time, and he, you know, said, Mom, where's my resume? So I printed up a copy or two of his resume, and while I was there, I saw mine. So I just printed it, not really thinking about what I was doing, but I just printed it up anyway. And so when I got in the car, my husband looked at me. He was like, you're not gonna bring your resume and do an interview? I mean, you going with us? So I said, well, I guess I could. You know, I had been talking about finding a job. So I said, I guess I could. So I went back in the house. I quickly changed into another, you know, but a nicer little pants set, and grabbed 2 copies of my resume, and off we go. And when I walked in the room, as we walked in the building, the first lady that greeted us was like, hey, how you doing? What are you here for? And I was like, you know, I don't know. Because they had moved on. They had walked out. I don't know if they were in front of me or if they were behind me, but I was there at the table talking to the lady at the front, you know, giving out badges, welcoming you in, by myself. They were not with me. And so I said, I don't really know what I'm doing here. But she was like, oh, you're here for a job. And she just smiled and she said, you're going to get one. And I said, okay. And I took my little badge and I put it on and I walked in the door, and there were so many tables and there was so many people, and I felt really, really small. Now, you have to understand that I'm a quiet person normally. I mean, I can be outgoing and I can talk to people. You know, I used to be in sales, and so I know how to move through a crowd of people with confidence. But in that moment, I felt so small and so intimidated because I've never worked in a school. I've always worked retail or sales or management some kind of way. So it was all strange to me. And so I was just kind of standing, you know, thinking. And really what was going through my mind was, you don't belong here. Get out of here. Just turn and walk away because you don't belong here. We know who that was. That was the enemy. And so this woman, this beautiful woman, sidled me. You know, she came up beside me from where I don't know. And she said, hey. And I said, hey. And she said, what are you doing here? I said, I really don't know. And she said, well, what kind of job are you looking for? You're a teacher? And I said, no, I'm not a teacher. I've never worked in education. And so she said, well, do you have a degree? And I said, no, I don't have a degree. And so she said, what kind of work have you done before? This is the Lord, you know. And so I told her, I said, well, I've worked in retail sales, and retail management, and property management. And so she said, from what you just said to me, you know people, and you like people, and you help people, and all of these things about me was true. And I said, yeah. And she said, and you can deal with all kind of personalities. I said, I can. And she said, and you learn fast, and you're highly motivated, and you can do things on the fly. You don't need a whole lot of instruction. And I was like, that is true. And so she said, that means you can work anywhere at any of these tables. Every table is a school in our district, or a department that works for a school in our district. And you just walk up to every table in this room and you say, this is my skills, that my name is such and such, and these are my skills, and I could work for you. And you teach me what to do, and I could do it. And she said, you just tell them my skills are transferable. And I looked at her, I said, because they are. Hallelujah. You know? And so every table I walked to, there was one table, and she was the tech department, and she said, I'm just here to support everyone else because we're not hiring. I said, you're not hiring? She said, no, we're not hiring in my department, but I'm just here as moral support for everyone else and to give out goodies. I said, oh, okay. So I got goodies from her table, but the man that was there interviewing for the school police department, he was like, would you like to be an officer? And I knew immediately. I was like, no, that's not for me, but thank you. The people who, because I guess they outsource like substitute teachers, so they have like a special, what do they call them, like a temp agency or something, like for subs. So she offered me a job. I was like, I've never been a teacher. I don't have any, formal education. She was like, oh, we'll send you back to school. Okay, so I took her card and information. I just went from table to table. I even stopped and talked with the people that my husband had went there to see, the maintenance department. And me and him had common ground because we both had worked at Sears in the commission sales department. He was like, yeah, I left when they stopped commission sales. I said, maybe a year for me after they stopped commission. So anyway, I got to one table, and it was, I think, a middle school, and they were looking for aides. And the lady said, oh, I'll give you a job. And she took my resume and told me that she would call me. The very next table I went to, I spoke to this woman, and she looked at me and she said, I have a position. She said, I'd love to interview you now. And I said, now? She said, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. And so I gave her my resume. She interviewed me on the spot, made an offer, and that is what I'm going to do, y'all. I am going to work in the schools. I am going to be a teacher's aide, because I'm not a teacher. But I'm going to work with young people, like little kids with special needs. Isn't that wonderful? Look at God. I kept saying, God, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? Where am I supposed to be going? I'm here to help. I'm here to do something. And I know it's awesome and it's for you. And when she interviewed me, we began to talk about just those things, how kids need something. There's something missing from education. There's something missing in the schools. And it's the Lord and godly people, and that's what she was looking for. When I started talking about that, she was like, you have the job. You have the job. So yeah, that's what we're up to. So I am making moves and doing things to prepare myself for this new portion in life and I just want to do well, bless people, and pour into some children, you know. And like I said, it's something I never thought that I would do because I struggled, you know, struggled so hard with my own. And I just feel like God is giving me a chance to redeem some time and maybe speaking to somebody else's life who might need to hear um, something good, you know, not to give up, to press on. There are greater things to come, you know. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And I told y'all I keep tearing up every time I talk about these things because I know it's God, it's not me. It's not me, y'all. But I'm here at Walmart. I'm sitting in the parking lot talking on my phone. So people are coming and getting in their cars. So I'm going to get off of here. But it's good to talk. And I will see you guys in the next one. Love ya. Bye.